All right, welcome to the Zapier series. Zapier is a piece of software that I use every day in my business. I've used for a couple years. For 4 years now, I've used Zapier, and essentially, um, it replaced the work of a part-time VA for me, and I feel sorry for for VAs everywhere, virtual assistants everywhere, because Zapier, as people learn how to use it, they realize, all the manual labor that I was paying somebody $300 a month for can be done with this $20 a month, $25 a month, up to $40 a month software. And it's done perfectly, unlike a human. It's done with robotic perfection and uh, and no complaints, right? And no breaks and no rests. That's what humans need self-care, robots don't. So unfortunately, robots are replacing us. But for those of us who are small business owners, it is incredibly cost effective. So what are some of the things that Zapier you might use it to do? And please go ahead, and if you have any questions, chat below. But basically, the most basic thing Zapier does is to connect different softwares to take information from one software into another app. So for example, let's say you have Acuity scheduling or Calendly or some other appointment software, and a client or somebody books, through your booking software, and you said, well, wouldn't it be nice if that booking information was placed into a Google spreadsheet for whatever reason? I mean, you might use it for tracking your, how many times people book with you, or you might, after they book with you, you want to send them a series of emails because you want to send the booking information over to your mailing list so that they could be tagged for a certain sequence. I don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit for how you want to connect all of your different pieces of software. So really, I think probably the first thing to do with Zapier is to first write down the software that you use. Okay. So you might just want to start brainstorming. And in fact, I welcome all of you who are here to comment below with just ideas for software that you use on a regular basis. Google Sheets, Acuity scheduling, Mailer Lite, PayPal, I don't know, social media software, whatever. It's like, okay, now that I've listed my softwares, I understand that Zapier can basically make connections between all of them and any of them. And so that's step one. Okay, so step one is write down all the softwares that you use. And I want to thank those who are here live, who are chatting the softwares they use. Thanks to Margie, Sarah, Cindy, Colleen, Antonio. So some softwares include Todoist, Google Docs, spreadsheets, MailChimp. You can book me, which is booking software. Milanote, I may have heard of that one. That's cool. Frame.io, Zoom, yes. Outlook, Coach Accountable, Notion, GoDaddy, Airtable, yes. ClickUp, SavvyCal, on and on and on. Bookio, any kind of booking software. And awesome, Mira, great list. Gmail, yes. And Google Calendar, lots of connections from Zapier to all those different places. Stripe, absolutely. Canva, FreshBooks, yes. Wix, all these other ones, MailChimp, etc. Okay, this is really good. So that's the first step. The second step is to start observing the things you do in those softwares that are repetitive. So you might go, especially when it comes to copy and paste. Okay, that's a very obvious thing that Zapier can do. But I also have Zapier doing calculations. Like, for example, for my affiliate program, like I have Zapier calculating 5% of each sale. When they fill in, like when PayPal comes in, a sale comes in, right? Zapier takes over from there. It's like Zapier's like, hey, a sale just came in. And then Zapier takes that information from PayPal, puts it into a Google spreadsheet of all my students. All my purchases are in a Google spreadsheet. Every student has a line in what they bought and different columns, the values that they bought in different columns, so that it can be all added together and of course uploaded for Facebook ads and every, total value. I mean, it's all instant. Like this is the stuff that a system would have done, right? Takes the PayPal stuff, put in a Google spreadsheet, and then also takes the same information, puts it in another Google spreadsheet for my affiliate tracking to say how much, what product did they buy, what's their PayPal email address, how much was it, and therefore Zapier calculate 5% of that, to as a bonus for everybody. I have like a different calculation, so it's like Zapier can do all of that perfectly, and it's really amazing. Okay, so step one, write down all the software. Step two, start to write down anything that's like copy paste or anything repetitive. Like, well, I keep doing this. I like the things you go, I bet either somebody else can do this, not me, or some software can do this. Like the only things ideally you should be doing is creating content, talking with clients, planning your business. What else? Speaking, creating content, talking with partners. That's it. Everything else with enough budget should either be outsourced or automated. And before we outsource things, we automate them, because why would you pay extra for an assistant when software can do that for you for 1/10 of the cost perfectly, and you can adjust the software as much as you want, whereas an assistant might get annoyed and say, wait, you wanting me to change step 3 again? Zapier doesn't complain. Zapier says, sure, whatever, So, okay, so that's an ongoing thing, right? Like noticing what is repetitive and then writing that down, go, all right, next time I'm going to ask George if I can create a Zap for this. And yes, by the way, those of you who are wondering how it's pronounced, it's not Zapier, which is what I used to think. It's not Zapier. Okay, it's French people. It's Zapier, because they say Zapier, literally their tagline is Zapier makes you happier. They have that as a tagline, so to help us all pronounce it better. So if you get no other value from this session, you know how to pronounce Zapier now, and you could lord it over others who keep saying Zapier. Okay, all right. Okay, so step 3. So step 1, software listing. Step 2, start to notice what's repetitive. And then now step 3 is, of course, you sign up for Zapier and start to use it. But you might say, well, George, maybe it'll give me ideas. Zapier can give me ideas for what to do. Yes, it can. So let's go now. I'll share my screen and we will take a look at what can be done. So actually, before I even go there, does anybody want to comment below with a curiosity about a task? Like, this thing I keep doing on a regular basis, I wonder if Zapier can do it, because it's quite repetitive. Go ahead and comment below if you already have an idea like that. Already we have some ideas. And by the way, I have to say this, Zapier isn't just for people who have a team or people who are further along. I mean, you can literally use Zapier from the beginning of your business, or even if you are working for somebody else, you can make your own tasks more efficient with Zapier, okay? So thanks for your ideas there. Like Mira says, new client sign-up process, absolutely. One of the things about Zapier is that it can make things more personal. Like, yes, your email software can probably automate certain emails, but what your email software can't do is to send an email, for example, from your Gmail account. That's what Zapier can do. So for example, let's say, you are really open to having an email conversation with people who sign up for your email list, because maybe you don't get, hundreds of new email subscribers a month. Maybe you get a few or a few dozen email subscribers a month, and you're like, you know what, I would like to have an email conversation with them. And so you could use Zapier, for example, to say, all right, when someone signs up for my email newsletter, send them an email from my Gmail account and say, hey, this is my personal Gmail account. As you can see, please feel free to reply. I'd love to know, how you found me or what, you know what I mean? So then it really starts a more personal conversation. You see what I mean? And that's more likely to go into that person's primary folder instead of promotions or, you know, so that's just like one idea. But another idea, let's see, Faith says, how about taking my social media content and post it to my website? Absolutely, Zapier can do that. Zapier works with, you know, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, WordPress, you name it, okay? So Cindy says, how about adding a contact to LinkedIn automatically? I think so. We can take a look at that. That's an interesting idea. And Faith says, I'm having my assistant do like inactive members, new members report, and then follow up via email or WhatsApp. Absolutely. You know, any kind of reporting that a system would have done can easily be done with Zapier. Antonio says, can Zapier do social media posting? Yes, you can. So instead of using Hootsuite or signing up for Buffer or something, Zapier does it all. So like I said, Zapier is like having one virtual assistant that has like 12 different arms, right? Upload videos to YouTube. Now, Colleen, that's an interesting question. What Zapier can't do is constantly be connected to your computer, because then that'd be too much security. I mean, if your computer's off, right? But if you upload the video to like Google Drive, Zapier can take that video and put it on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, yes. So as long as it's like online services, Zapier can do it, right? Okay, so let's now actually take a look, and I'll share my screen with you now. Now let's go to Zapier. Zapier. Okay. All right. So I've said you've already done the task of writing down all the different softwares you use. You've also done the task of writing down potential things that you want to do with it. And now let's actually test it out. So for example, I don't know if this one can be done, but let's actually try out. So Cindy says, how about adding a contact to LinkedIn? So for example, let's say that you put a contact in Google spreadsheet and you want to add them on LinkedIn. Maybe you have a Google spreadsheet for tracking your contacts. So let's say connect this app, Google, Google. You know, look at all these Google things you could do, and more, by the way. It's even more Google Docs as well. But anyway, I'm going to say Google Sheets. I'm going to connect it to LinkedIn. Okay. When this happens, when there's a new spreadsheet row, new spreadsheet row, or new or updated spreadsheet row, anyway, new spreadsheet row, let's say, then do this, select an action. Oh, okay. So it cannot add the contact yet, but you know what you can do? Zapier has very good customer service, and you can always contact them and says, hey, I would love to be able to add a contact on LinkedIn. But essentially, you can see what you can do already. You can basically make a post on your social media, you know, your profile, or make a post on your company page. Either one is doable. You know, if you put something, for example, you put something in a spreadsheet, you can then have Zapier posted in all of your social media platforms all at once, as an example, right? So, okay, so what about taking social media content and put it on my website? So let's say you post your social media content on Instagram, let's say, right? Instagram, okay, and then connect it to your let's say WordPress was your website. So when this happens, when new media is posted in my account, then do this: update post, create post. Yeah, so that's an example of that, right? So if you are wondering, okay, well, George, I haven't even written down any tasks. I'm just really wondering what it can do for various softwares. Well, let's go ahead and take a look. So Zoom is a common one that we use these days. So I'm gonna go do it through Zoom. So okay, so I'm sorry. This is how you explore various apps on Zapier. You click on Explore. And here, by the way, once you're here in Explore, you can click on most popular CRM email marketing by role. By role meaning marketing, bookkeeping, you know, whatever, different roles in a business. So let's say most popular. And you can see that these are the most popular apps, 4,000 apps connected with Zapier. And Zapier has its own apps. Like you can filter different, anyway, it's really fancy stuff. So anyway, let's look for Zoom. Okay, so first of all, let me show you the steps again. You go to zapier.com/explore, and then what you do is actually you just go to, let's see, I think you just go to zapier.com. Okay, go to zapier.com and click on the question mark, or not the question, the magnifying glass on the top right, and then search Zoom, for example, and then click on the app. Okay, and then scroll down and you can see these are the common pairings that people use with Zoom. So Google Sheets or Google Calendar, I don't know, these different things you can do. And then further down, it says here are popular things people do. Create Zoom meetings for new calendar events, add new Zoom meetings to Google Calendar, blah, blah, blah. Add new Zoom registrants as MailChimp subscribers or any other mailing list that you use, MailerLite, Aweber, blah, 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 Constant Contact, all that stuff. Add Zoom webinar registrants for new successful PayPal sales, et cetera, et cetera. And you can scroll down. I want to show you this. For any app that you're exploring on Zapier, you can explore what's called triggers and actions. Let me show you what each one means. A trigger is basically what Zapier can sense with that app. So when a new meeting in Zoom is created, Zapier can sense that. When a new recording is completed in the cloud, Zapier can sense that, et cetera. When a new meeting registrant, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, what can Zapier do in terms of actions for Zoom? Like, by the way, triggers is basically what starts a zap. A zap, by the way, I should clarify, a zap is an automation, right? It's a thing that you want Zapier to do. It's called a zap. So a trigger is what starts a zap. And an action is what continues or completes a zap. So let's see, if you were using Zoom as the second or third step in a zap, what can Zoom do? Let's click on actions and see. Zoom can create a meeting registrant, or creating webinar. So it's pretty basic what Zapier can use with Zoom. If you have, like I said, if you have other ideas for Zapier, you can always send them customer service requests. They're very responsive and very kind. Okay, so let's see here. Joanna says, can you do an IGTV video with Zoom through? Yeah, no, Joanna, that's a very sophisticated question. No, not at this time. Instagram is notorious for not letting anybody do IGTV except through the Instagram app. So even Zapier can't help you with that. Okay, so let's do another app, that we all commonly use. Let's say Gmail, or how about Google Calendar? Let's see what Zapier can do with Google Calendar. So we'll go here, we'll go Google Calendar. Okay. All right. Google Calendar. All right. And then basically, if you scroll down, you see people doing create new Trello cards for new Google Calendar events, or generate Google Calendar events from new Google Sheet row, or add a new Google Calendar events to to-do list as tasks. Like all kinds of creative and interesting things that people are doing on a regular basis. And you can click load more to see even more ideas, for you. Or like I said, you can scroll down and basically look at what triggers can start a zap with Google Calendar, which is basically just about anything. New event, new updated event started, new event matching search. Wow, that's really fancy. So Zapier can keep searching your Google Calendar for something that is, that's matching. And then what can Zapier do with as a second or third step or future step? It can add, events, find events, create count. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So basically, oh, and I want to show you one more thing. Google Sheets is what we use, what a lot of us use Zapier for, because Google Sheets, I'll just give you a quick tip here. Google Sheets is kind of like a connecting tool in between many apps as well. Like you could take information from one app and say, Zapier, please put it into a Google Sheet. And then you could ask Zapier to further go, okay, read that Google Sheet and then take that information from this column and that column and put it into this other thing, right? Like you can go as fancy and creative as you can be with Zapier with Google Sheets. So let me just pause now and see if there are any questions before I continue. Yeah, and one important principle that I really like, I heard about, is the DRY principle, DRY, which is don't repeat yourself. This came out of the programming world, where programmers are like, Why am I continuing to code the same line again and again? Don't repeat yourself. And people made, people said basically, if you can get smart about how you cannot repeat yourself, which is what Zapier can do. It's like if you see yourself doing something again and again and again on the computer, you're like, well, someone else can do this, or some software can do this. Okay. The opposite of don't repeat yourself, the dry principle, of course, is the wet principle, which is we enjoy typing. Wet, we enjoy typing, right? Which none of us really love to do more typing. We want to do less typing. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions here. Faith says, I heard that scheduling social media posts through a third-party software is not good for the algorithm. Is that true with Zapier? Yeah. So I have noticed that in past years, like with Hootsuite and Buffer and other apps, those posts don't get as much visibility as the ones we manually post. But as I continue looking at this issue, I think it's actually more because the human beings, the audiences can sense when something is repeated mindlessly. Like Hootsuite and Buffer and Meet Edgar and all those fancy scheduling, social media scheduling tools, what they try to encourage you to do is to take your best content and just put it on auto repeat for like every 3 months or something like that, right? Your audience can sense that. When they see it again, they're like, yeah, I think I saw that a few months ago and I'm not, and so I think the mindless repeating, reposting is what makes the algorithm go down over time. I don't know if it's really the third-party software. However, I want to tell you this, Zapier, I think is more special in that it's like pretending to be you more than Hootsuite and Buffer are, because Hootsuite and Buffer, like Facebook knows who they are. And so anyway, so I think it's a little bit more closer to you posting it. So I think it's okay to use Zapier to just put it all in the different places all at once if you want to do that. Now, I do have to say that I think the other social media tools like Hootsuite, they are more sophisticated about how they post things. So with Zapier, it's a little bit less sophisticated because it's just more programmatic. Whereas with Hootsuite, I think you can format it better for the different platforms. So just be aware of that. I haven't tried posting on social media with Zapier, so that's why I'm saying you should try it out and see how it goes for you. A question from Antonio. Can you schedule actions like automatically trigger something? No, that's exactly it. That's what triggers are. Triggers are basically you asking Zapier to be checking every like 15 minutes. I think depending on the level of your Zapier account, I think with a free account, I think they check something like every half hour. And then with a basic paid account, I think they check every 15 minutes. And then with a higher paid account, they check every 5 minutes. No assistant's going to do that for you. A human assistant is going to do that for you and stay sane. So yes, they are checking all the time, all the different things you ask them to do. They just keep checking. Oh, Kim, good question. At what point in your business would you want to start using Zapier? Zapier has made such a difference in my business that I really think that all of us, everybody who is watching this right now, should, of course, I always put should in quotes because you can do whatever you want, should start learning automation. And Zapier has a free account that allows you to start explore and start using a couple of Zaps that are free. If you start using PayPal, if you start putting PayPal in the Zapier, they ask you to upgrade to, I think the lowest plan is like $20 a month or $25 a month, which if you think about it, an assistant, it's going to charge you $25 an hour, in the Philippines, right? Or in India or something like that. So $25 a month for a bunch of things to do is such a good deal. But start with a free Zapier and just start playing around, start exploring, go, let me try it, because here's the reality of the future of business. If we don't learn how to work with the robots, we will fall behind other people who are learning how to work with the robots. And by robots, I mean automation like Zapier, the services like this. You might as well start now. It's going to train you to start thinking in the dry principle. Don't repeat yourself. Am I doing this? Why am I doing this right now? This task, is this a task where I can bring the most value that only I can do? Like, for example, teaching or working with a client or creating content? Yes, only you can bring the most value to that because your presence cannot be automated yet. Okay. Everything else, administrative, you should start thinking about the dry principle. Don't repeat yourself. And so how can I automate this if possible? And if I cannot, I'm going to outsource this once I have the budget for it. Outsourcing is way more expensive, obviously, than paying Zapier $25, or I pay Zapier $40 a month. Okay, let me be clear. I pay Zapier $40 a month, and I have almost 40 Zaps going. All of my courses, all of my courses are automated. So like I have 20 courses. When people buy random courses, it's all automated. I don't do anything. I just sit back and, as they say, make money while I sleep, right? I can't believe it's only $40 a month for all that stuff, right? And plus I have other automations. Anyway, I think I'll stop here, and I look forward to part 2 Zapier in the coming weeks. And please do gather your questions, gather your curiosities about Zapier. Let's continue working through this for the next, at least another part, if not maybe a third part, if I can help troubleshoot anybody's Zap. I just helped a client troubleshoot their Zap today that they've been frustrated for 2 years about because it was duplicating row. I helped them troubleshoot it, and hoping it'll work. Next time they'll update me, but they were able to do some things they couldn't do before. So I look forward to helping you with that as well. So we'll end for today. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to your questions and your explorations with Zapier. Bye for now. Thanks, everyone.